Hi boys and girls, welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 3.6, Frames and Arrows Having Two Rules. The materials that you'll need today, notebook paper, pencil, and your math journal. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So if you can open up to page 68. If you're noticing that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. So for question number 1, it says write 6 names in the 20 box. Now you might have completely different answers than me, and that's okay, just as long as your answers also equal 20. So I chose 25 minus 5, 2 dimes, 10 plus 10, 17 plus 3, 30 minus 10, and then 20 triangles. For question number 2, how much money? So I have 3 quarters, which I know is 75 cents. Then a dime gets me to 85, and 2 pennies, 86 and 87 cents. For question number 3, fill in the missing numbers using the rule -3. So for this first one, I needed to do the opposite since I was given the out. So I know 4 plus 3 gets me to 7. Then I had 10 minus 3, which is 7. 6, now I had to do plus 3 to get 9 since I was given the out. And then 5 plus 3 was 8. Again, I had to do the opposite since I was given the out. For question number 4, solve. So I know 5 plus 3 is 8. So 30 plus 50 is 80. I know 3 plus 6 is 9. So 60 plus 30 is 90. And the unit that I chose today were cats. For question number 5, I bought ice cream and a sandwich. Each cost 35 cents. How much money did I spend? Fill in the diagram and write a number model. So I have 35 in each of my parts, and I chose to put a question mark for the total. You could have also put the answer there. That would have been fine too. Now I know that 30 plus 30 is equal to 60, and I know 5 plus 5 is 10. So 60 plus 10 is equal to 70. So my answer is 70 cents. For question number 6, what is the temperature? Looking at the thermometer, I can see it is D 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can double check to make sure that you have yours correct and fix any mistakes with your pencil and eraser. Then we'll put our math journal to the side and we'll take out our whiteboard and marker or notebook and pencil. And if the speed is ever too fast, please pause as often as needed. So boys and girls, today we're going to solve some frames and arrows puzzles. So you don't need to write all these boxes. You don't need to draw this out, but I do want you to maybe either say the answer or if you can write down, maybe just even make lines, and so you can see where your missing spaces would be. So my rule is to add 5 cents. Now if I have 10 cents, I need to do the opposite to figure out the first one. So I'm thinking 10 minus 5, I would have 5. Then they give me 15 and 20. 20 plus 5 would be 25. 25 plus 5 would be 30. So we know what to do when we have our frames and arrows, when we have just one rule. Today we're going to see some problems with 2 rules. So watch how I do this first problem. Notice how whenever I see a dark blue line, I'm going to add 5. Whenever I see a dotted line, I'm going to add 10. So what I like to do is I like to write down plus 5 whenever I see that dark line, and then plus 10 whenever I see the dotted line. Then it helps me to solve. So if I have 10 plus 5, I know I have 15. If I have 15 plus 10, I would have 25. 25 plus 5 would be 30. 30 plus 10 would be 40. 40 plus 5, they give us 45. And then 45 plus 10 would be 55. Let's try one more like this before we go into our math journal. So this time, whenever I see the dotted or dashed line, I'm going to add 5. Whenever I see the dark line, I'm going to subtract 10. So again, I'm going to plug in those numbers and write the +5 and the -10 to the matching lines. Can you try solving this puzzle and then press play when you're ready to check? All right, so if I'm at 95 and I'm subtracting 10, I would have 85. 85 plus 5, I would have 90. 90 minus 10 would be 80. Then 80 plus 5, they gave me 85, and 85 minus 10 would be 75. So now we'll try these same things in our math journal. So if you can put your notebook or your whiteboard to the side and open your math journal to page 69. We'll start with that page first. So you'll notice that for number 1, your rules, whenever you see a dark line, you're going to add 5. Whenever you see the dotted line, you're going to add 10. So can you solve problems 1, 2, and 3, and then press play when you're ready to check your answers? Press pause now. All right, second graders, let's see how you did. So if you want to write those numbers above or on the lines, you can do that, just like how I did. Now, when I see I was at 25 cents and I'm adding 10, I would have 35 cents. Then 35 plus 5, I would have 40. And 40 plus 10 would get me to 50. It would be great if you would put your cent symbol after your numbers. I just ran out of space for mine. And then for the second one, whenever I see that dark line, I'm going to add 10. Now, in order to figure out the number that comes before, I need to do the opposite. So I needed to subtract 10, which would bring me to 10. So you'll notice I'm putting my answers in red, so that's a little bit easier to check. Then I'm at 15 plus 10, I would have 25. 25 minus 5, I would have 20. 20 plus 10 would be 30. And then 30 minus 5 would be 25. For the last one on this page, so I'm either adding 25 whenever I see the dark line, or I am adding 5 whenever I see that dashed line. So if I'm at 50 and I'm adding 5, I would have 55. Then they give me the plus 25, which brings me to 80. Then 80 plus 5, I would have 85. 85 plus 25, so I know 85 plus 5 would get me to 90. And then 90 plus 20 more, I would have $1.10. So I'm going to write that with my 1 decimal point 10 and then put my dollar symbol in front of that. And then plus 5 more cents would get me to $1.15. We're going to try a few more problems like this on page 70. So same thing on page 70. So question number 4, you're either going to add 10 or subtract 1. But then look at number 5 and number 6. They have one of the rules, but then you need to figure out what the other rule is. So you need to look at those numbers next to it to figure out what are they doing in order to get there. So let's have you try to complete as much of this page on your own as you can, and then press play when you're ready to check your answers. Press pause now. All right, second graders, and if I'm ever going too fast, please pause as often as needed. So I went from 3 to 13, and then from 13 to 12, and so then I'm going to add 10, so I had 22. I'm going to subtract 1, which brings me to 21. And again, if you can plug in your cent symbol behind, that would be great. Then I'm at 21 cents. I'm going to add 10 to get me to 31. And then I'm going to subtract 1 to get me to 30. For number 5, I can see that whenever I see that dark line, I'm going to add 2. So I went from 1 plus 2 to get me to 3. But then I went from 3 to 4. So I know from 3 to 4, I'm adding 1. So I want to figure out my rule. So if my rule is whenever I see that dash line, I'm going to add 1 cent. Now I can see, so I was at 6, I added 1 to get to 7. Now 7 plus 2 would bring me to 9. And then 9 plus 1 would bring me to 10. And then for my last one, so I can see I'm trying to figure out that dark line. So I went from $1 to $1.05. So I know that I'm going up by 5 cents. So my rule is plus 5 cents. And then whenever I see that dash line, I'm adding 10 cents. So $1.05 plus 10 cents would bring me to $1.15. Then they give me $1.20. If I'm at, and then if I'm going to add 10 cents, I would have $1.30. If I was going to add 5, I would have $1.35. And then they give me the $1.45. All right, boys and girls, we will work more on frames and arrows in future lessons. But the last thing we'll do today is talk about our math boxes. So if you can turn to look at page 72. When you're all done with this page, if you can take a picture and add the picture to Seesaw from your classroom teacher, we will go over this page in our next video. So for question number 1, write the amount, fill in the circle for the best answer. For question 2, you're solving. Don't forget about your unit. For question 3, how many children have cats? And then how many children have fish? For question 4, tomorrow I will get dressed for the day. Circle either certain, likely, unlikely, or impossible. For question 5, I had 17 tulips. I planted 20 more. How many do I have now? So think about what you're starting with and then your change. Are you adding or subtracting? And what are you ending with? And then give me a number model at the bottom. And then for our last question, number 6, if you can solve, and then give me a unit. All right, second graders, I will see you next time.